On behalf of the Pakistan Christian Outreach Foundation, I want to recognize Pakistan's highest court, the Supreme Court, for its courage and judicial prudence over the verdict of Asia Bibi. I also want to commend the Prime Minister of Pakistan for his strong stance, his courage in regards to his full support of the judiciary, and for his address to the Pakistani nation shortly after the verdict. The clarity with which the Prime Minister acted is admirable. No other Pakistani Prime Minister or head of the state has ever taken such a bold stance in the history of Pakistan. And Mr. Prime Minister, in doing so, you have eased a lot of tension among the Pakistani Christian community, a community that was bracing for a huge backlash from certain segments of the Pakistani society in the aftermath of this historic decision by the Supreme Court of Pakistan to overthrow Asia Bibi's death sentence. I also want to take this opportunity to remind everyone that there are several other cases like Asia Bibi's on the docket in regards to the blasphemy law. And as these cases go through the judicial process, we pray for the outcome of all these cases as well. May God continue to bless the judges with the wisdom so that correct and just decisions are made. I also want to take a minute to talk about Asia Bibi and her family. It is imperative that this family be granted asylum either in England, in Canada, or the United States. There seems to be a certain degree of speculation within the British government that giving asylum to Asia Bibi and her family could cause an upheaval among certain demographics residing in England, and in turn might cause civil disturbance. I want to remind everyone of a couple of high-profile cases like that of Salman Rushdie from over 30 years ago, and from Malala Yousafzai from a more recent past. They were both granted asylum. Salman Rushdie was granted asylum based on his conviction to free speech. And Malala Yousafzai's conviction was about education for the young girls. Both causes were humanitarian causes. I want to submit that Asia Bibi and her family's safety and security should be just as important to the British government as that of Salman Rushdie and Malala Yousafzai. You see, a large majority of the forefathers of our current Pakistani Christian community were converted to Christianity in the 1800s and the 1900s by missionaries from Europe and the United States. These foreign missionaries, both men and women of God, left the comforts of their homes and their countries to serve the poorest of the poor, and sometimes the lowest castes, the untouchable of the then Hindu culture. These foreign missionaries sacrificed everything, sometimes even their lives, to stand by the local Christian converts. And so all through the last 71 years since the creation of Pakistan, the local Pakistani Christian community has stood by these foreign missionaries. We as Pakistani Christians have served these missionaries and the foreign heads of mission institutions, whether it was in the mission compounds, whether it was in mission hospitals, mission schools, and universities. We have provided for their needs and for their safeties and security. We have worked as their cooks, their housekeepers, their personal drivers, their landscapers, and their security guards. The relationship of local Christians with foreign missionaries to this day is deeply woven into the fabric of who we are as Pakistani Christians. It is no wonder that in times of need like this, we look up to countries like England, Canada, and the United States. For we in Pakistan, over the past so many centuries, have had the opportunity to be touched by God's true and greatest servants, the missionaries of the countries from England, Canada, and the United States. I urge the governments of England, Canada, and the United States to grant religious asylum to Asia Bibi and her family.